Well, I won a scholarship to college. I actually won it with my French, and so I went to this college, and I went there a year. And being a big city girl, I found I was the college was their first year. These nuns had just decided to have a college. They had had a high school right in the same building with the convent. And then they started a college, and our school was, these were Benedictine nuns, and they were not of the same, they were friends, and so they offered us a scholarship, and of the girls in my class, I wanted. And so that was fun. And it was in a small town called Atchison, Kansas. It was right on the Missouri River, a very historic town. That's where the jumping off place for the prairie schooners was. They would all outfit right there in Atchison, cross the river and follow the Missouri River into the plains and so on. And it was a nice little town, very friendly. We would walk about 5 blocks to get to town, and as we walked, people would stop and offer us rides. They were just, people who knew we were from the Mount, and they would give us a ride to town, or we would walk. It was always not a nice walk. They had 2 shows, and we would see a show every weekend, either Friday night or Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon. So we'd have to go to each show because they'd show the same thing. So, and there were, I think, 2 drugstores. There were a couple drugstores. And that's about all there was of interest. There was a dime store. And just the usual things a small town would have. Nothing that compared to Chicago, and I began to miss that, the stores and the hubbub and the golf and the bridge and all the things I'd had in Chicago, and most of the kids were from small towns around there, many of them. We had about 15 girls from Chicago who went down there. But the rest of the girls were from places, Fall City, Nebraska, and there was one from, they were from all over. One was from Pennsylvania. There were quite a few from out on the prairie, from Colorado. And they were used to, they had lived on ranches and places like that. And it was very interesting, the lives that they were living. And so they thought they had heard of the Mount all their life. I actually had never heard of the Mount before I won the scholarship, so I didn't know what it was or what, about it, their history or anything. So I just went out, And it got to where the newness wore off, everything wore off, and I didn't like it anymore. I just didn't like it. And so then I decided what I should do is go to school in Chicago. So I went to DePaul. I transferred out. I went to DePaul University in Chicago. And I had organic chemistry. I was studying to be, I was going to be a dietitian, and you have to take, I have 15 hours of college chemistry. I can't imagine it now, but I have. And that is something that I didn't decide. Mother picked it because I have always been interested in food, and that's true. I always have been. And I thought that was a good thing. But actually, I found that I wasn't that interested in chemistry, organic chemistry. And I began to lose interest in the whole thing. There was nothing to do besides go to the library or wait for the weekend and go to a show. That was all there was. There was no athletics at all, nothing. You could go out and walk around the convent or take a walk and come back, you know, see all the little houses. And there was a little store about as big as this room. You go down and buy a candy bar or something. And after living in Chicago and you know, and playing golf and then living out at a cabin, and it just it didn't appeal to me so much after that. The novelty wore off.
So did you finish college at DePaul?
At the what?
At DePaul?
No, I finished at the University of Minnesota.
And I think that's kind of neat that
It was. I enjoyed it. I really did. I'm glad I did.